at ESPN 105.9.
All set? Let's go.
The Zone.
They got must-champed.
Good morning. Out of bounds, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. How does a medium rare sizzling ribeye sound tonight? Kessler Prime and the Renaissance pair it with award-winning Elijah Craig bourbon, the godfather of bourbon. Elijah Craig, award-winning Elijah Craig bourbon. You can find it at Kessler Prime and the Renaissance. Get you a Manhattan or an old-fashioned, or order it neat. Even better. Bam. KesslerPrime.com. Pair it with some bacon-wrapped shrimp. Bowbound Straight Funk with you as we march into the weekend. We'll be live from Reunion with Locke Ward tomorrow, 10 a.m. to noon. I had birthday lunch with Locke Ward yesterday. He's almost like the mayor of Jackson. I mean, I'm glad we have a good mayor now. What? Why can't I say that? I already did.
It felt like you were insinuating that Locke would have been a bad mayor.
No, I think he'd be a good one.
I did too.
John Horn is a good one and will continue to be a better one. But Locke sent me something today. That guy's gotten to where he's an early bird.
He's an early riser, and he's up late.
He never sleeps. So we'll be broadcasting from 404 Edgewood Lane in Reunion. Locke Ward's got the listing. And so call Locke Mania, the realtor today. His number, it's an easy number, I think, to remember, 601-906-5577. And he had his birthday yesterday. So we had birthday lunch. And I didn't even have to pay for it.
I was about to say, who picked up the tab?
One of his buddies picked up the tab for the whole table.
Look out.
That's a good friend.
That's a great friend.
Yeah.
Good job.
That's what it's all about.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think, I had the beef eater. Roast beef sandwich.
Nice.
Yeah. So I thought it was good. And
I mean, Charp, was it popping?
yeah, it was busy.
Okay.
When are they not?
That's a good point.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was busy. We had a good lunch and it worked out great. Locke and I kind of reminisced after his buddies left. I guess now they're my buddies.
Yeah, that's right.
But after his buddies left, we reminisced about growing up in Jackson. Yeah. What?
He's still growing up in Jackson.
Yeah, he is. Locke Ward runs Northeast Jackson.
He rides around on, side by sides in the middle of Eastover.
Does he?
Yes, it's ridiculous.
Really?
And then they go out through all those creeks out there and out back.
Yeah, he showed me all the trails behind his house.
That he has carved.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm going to take his word for it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
me too.
Maybe he'll invite us over.
He will.
That's what we need to do.
Side by side.
We need to crash Locke's house. And do you think Locke's a griller?
No.
I don't know.
No. But Locke will host you to grill.
Okay, I'll grill.
Yeah.
Does he have a grill?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, he does. He does.
I mean, we've already made fun of you. You don't have one. Wes put together a deal for you. You're now driving a pickup truck, and you still haven't gone by Grills of Mississippi from a month ago to get to pick up your grill.
I got to take that up.
Which Wes is going to have to redo it. It's got to be a gas grill. You're not going to. You're so lazy that you will not do charcoal.
I appreciate you for noticing and realizing that.
Now, the gas grill, I think you'll do that because, that takes 2 seconds. Flip it, bam. You can be cooking in no time.
I'm with that.
Now, I acknowledge that I'm kind of over. I haven't cooked on my egg or gourmet guru in a while. I like it, but it's not something that I'm really, I'm just not mad at it anymore. After there's guys listening that have cooked on theirs over 1,000 times, but I've probably cooked on mine 100 times.
What?
Huh?
How? Why? How?
Well, you light the or it's a different kind of charcoal, but you light the rocks and you roll.
How long's the whole prep process take to where you actually get cooking?
Too long.
Too long. And
Yeah.
What about, and with charcoal, it's what?
Well, it's a minute with charcoal
with
too.
Regular charcoal, right?
Yeah, but with the gas grill, it's 2
Turn.
seconds. You can have whatever you're cooking on in no time.
Right.
Lockward just texted me and said, I can't boil water.
They can't.
When was the last time he cooked a meal at his house?
The last time I cooked one at my house. He's worse than I am.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
You guys got to do better.
Man, we're busy over there.
He even said that you don't do anything.
He's right.
Like, that you need to leave your house more.
He doesn't know when I'm there.
Okay.
He does, because he always pulls up. He lives life like he's in a parade. He just drives around and honks at people.
Well, I agree with that. I mean, he's not one to sit at his house.
No.
Not at all. But he needs to ask us over so that we can be on his back patio and we'll cook out and have drinks.
That's right.
And we'll do the cooking.
That's right. I need to know if he has a grill.
Does his wife drink?
Yeah.
Not drink, cook. Sorry.
Probably. Yeah, I mean, he's either doing that or he's riding around looking at the streetlights and reporting which ones are out or not. He's doing that, isn't he? That's what he does. It's all he does.
He's obsessed. He drives around Northeast Jackson to see if sewage is backed up or drainage, whatever.
Yes.
Not maybe necessarily sewage, but the drainage systems are right, and if street lights are working.
He literally has a lantern. He takes it down.
Does he really?
He reports all of them. Somebody's getting a check.
Who is that person that has to answer the phone from Locke every time he calls when there's a street light out?
Does he have a go-to person at Energy or something? I need to know.
He just told me that he bought a grill from Grills of Mississippi and gave it away 6 months later. God, I guess we'll have to bring a grill.
That's hilarious.
All right, the Dancing Rabbit Golf text line, 601-885-3776. Find us on X at Bowbounds. And the Michelob Ultra caller line is 601-707-3750. Somebody asked about the Jerry West documentary. It's unbelievable. And when you turn it on, you won't turn it off. And from right out of the gate, Michael Jordan's in it. And they're asking him about the logo and his impact on basketball. All these guys revere him. And, you know, Kobe lived with him for a period of time because Kobe was, 18 years old when the Lakers drafted him. And he was around one of Jerry West's son's age. And Kobe didn't know how to drive. And, of course, he was moving from Philadelphia to L.A. at a young age. And so, they wanted to get him acclimated into Los Angeles and into the Lakers. And Kobe and Jerry West's son became really close. Because, when you're in the car all the time together and you're close to the same age or the same age, that's going to happen, right? And so that's an incredible story. But when you look at the people that they interview in Jerry West, the Logo documentary, including MJ, you're big time revered and respected when Michael Jordan is front and center and present and locked in to what he's saying about Jerry West as a player and an executive. Is there a more accomplished player and executive than Jerry West? Ed Werder, Cowboys Insider, 8:30.
Ooh, so tasty and ironic. Wolves, mountain lions, and bears.
Good morning, Out of Bounds, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. Brought to you by Wings and Michelob Ultra from Martin's in Livingston. Hope you're doing well, getting ready for the weekend. Bowbound Straight Funk with you. We'll have Ed Werder in 15 minutes at 8:30 on the Cowboys draft. Some people believe that they drafted the best player as far as talent. Maybe, 9 to 11-year career at least, hopefully, right, in the NFL. In Caleb Downs, safety, but kind of do-it-all safety out of Ohio State, Bama and Ohio State for that matter. Started day one for Saban when he was still there, and then Ohio State bought him for his last couple of years with the Buckeyes. Won a national title 2 years ago, and then they didn't do what they I guess wanted to do. Indiana took that spot. We've now had 3 Big Ten teams win the national championship in a row, so they're crowing pretty big. Some of their media are saying that SEC schools don't have the money to compete with Big Ten schools. Their big drop right now is we own car manufacturers companies, and y'all own car dealerships.
Oh, wow.
And which they don't own car manufacturers anyway. But thinking that like SEC teams are not going to spend the money to be competitive just because they've lost 3. And look, the league has been, it got hit and watered down, and the powers, Georgia, Bama, LSU, have not been as good the last few years. However, you've still had some teams win a lot of games and make the college football playoff. But yeah, Caleb Downs, could argue he's the most talented or best player in the draft. Jeremiah Love, there's some others. But the Cowboys get him. He can do it all. He can defend the pass, he can stop the run, and he can rush the quarterback and everything in between. So he is one hell of a football player. We'll have Ed Werder on at 8:30 on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. And what's great about this is so many of you, some of you like the Cowboys, and a lot of you can't stand the Cowboys. And so it works out great. Ed Werder's one of the best in the business as far as covering the NFL. Speaking of the best in the business, a Jack Victor sport coat from the Rogue Men's Store is perfect for spring, summer. Jack Victor sport coat from the Rogue Men's Store. Doesn't get any better. Dress it up, dress it down. Parties, wedding parties or weddings, graduation, all kinds of spring events. You got the Kentucky Derby this weekend, right? And so we'll be in Starkville, but it'll be on the TV while we're doing a little Zach Bryan and Kentucky Derby.
Nice.
Should I wear seersucker to the stadium?
To the stadium.
To celebrate?
To the show.
We already have Elijah Craig bourbon in my friend's suite.
Okay.
And it'll be the Derby, and then a little country music or country pop, whatever you want to call it. Wendy's been listening. She didn't know that she knew a song or two.
That chicken fry song. She definitely knows it.
No, that's Zach Brown.
Oh. Well, there's a difference.
Hold on.
Wolves, mountain lions, and bears.
I had no idea. Could have sworn I knew who that was.
I know you did.
Man, I was
Oh,
confident.
look at that.
Let's just go back to this, and let's just do this the rest of the show, the way this show's going.
Oh, look at that. Every single one of those is just coated perfectly. It looks so fresh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, Zach Bryan and Zach Brown are the same guy. Why not?
What I thought.
Yeah. I mean, Fleetwood Mac and Cher, same thing,
Hey.
right? Yeah. You want to tick some people off? Rolling Stones and the Beatles, same thing. Because you've got that Beatles guy.
Yeah, buddy.
And then you got the Rolling Stones guy. It's just like,
Fighting words.
Larry Bird or Magic or, I don't know, Brady or Montana or Mahomes or Brady or where do we want to go? You just said chicken fried.
Yeah, that ain't him. I could have sworn
Zach
that was that guy.
Bryan, not Zach Brown.
That's right. Okay.
So Wendy didn't know who he was, and then she started listening to it since we're going to the concert
Right.
Saturday, And she calls me last week. She goes, I actually know one or two of these songs. She was all excited.
Nice.
Yeah.
That always makes it better.
Yeah. Heck yeah, it does. And, oh, by the way, Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, that.
Brought to you by award-winning Elijah Craig Bourbon. So, should I wear seersucker?
I mean,
Should I ask Luke Abney if he's got any seersucker at the Rogue Men's Store?
He does. Oh, he does.
Yeah. I mean, we had a Paisley shirt for you that you never went and got. Because you remember you said Paisley parties?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a fact. I'll have to, I'll revive the Paisley. So it's springtime. It's time.
I should have grabbed that shirt that Luke put up and I took a picture of.
Yeah, that was a good shirt.
Really pretty Paisley shirt that they had in there. I don't know what brand it was. All their brands are quality and amazing.
It was nice.
But it was nice. I need a seersucker shirt.
Yes.
Or linen.
Linen.
For this weekend so that I can do both. Yeah. Of course, I don't know how many people wear seersucker or linen to Zach Bryan concerts, but I think I can pull it off since it's on the same day as the Kentucky Derby.
Right.
Okay. All right. We got to get that done.
Do they wear them to Zach Brown concerts? I don't know.
So Zach Brown wears sleeveless shirts.
Oh, nice.
I do know that.
Okay.
He's more in the Larry the Cable Guy spot.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a phenomenal musician. He's got some amazing songs, and he's had a hell of a career.
Yeah.
But he's a sleeveless shirt guy.
Yeah, he's tatted up.
Is he?
Head to toe.
Got it.
Okay.
I don't know if he, is he?
For sure.
Okay.
I met that one.
Did you meet him in Austin?
I did. I met that guy.
When you were giving Carrie Underwood a COVID test?
That's right. Her and Dirks.
Okay. You were single at the time. Did you want to hit on Carrie Underwood when you were giving her a COVID test?
Couldn't.
Why?
I just couldn't get the words out of my mouth. I was stunned.
Really?
A little stunned there, yeah. Tell you, but the way she just, the way she just came off the bus, she floated. I didn't know what to do.
You were speechless.
Yeah, and then the dude that owned iHeart was beside me, and I had to make sure I was doing something right.
Okay.
Which he made sure of that. But
what was that guy's name? Bob something?
Yeah, it was.
Because he went to Millsaps from Brookhaven?
Yeah, that's right.
I heard a podcast on him last year. I didn't put all that together. But
dang.
Yeah.
That's it.
Check it out. He was there for like 5 minutes. Hey, we are the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Some of you want to talk about the Brendan Sorsby story. Texas Tech QB maybe accused of gambling. And it's under NCAA investigation. Indiana football games back. This is before Signetti.
Right.
Back in 2022, reports say bets were mostly on Indiana to win. He did not play in those games to date. There's no evidence he tried to fix games or influence outcomes, which I don't know how how would he if he's not playing and unless he's giving bookies information on injuries.
Yeah, but how much?
Okay. Now, NCAA rules are zero tolerance.
Right.
Okay. So he's on indefinite leave from Texas Tech. Rumors that they gave him $4 to $6 million to come in. He was the number one QB in the portal, I guess, along with Sam Levitt.
Right.
He put up some numbers at Cincinnati. And his 2026 season is in doubt. Okay? $4 to $6 million. Sometimes the numbers are accurate. Sometimes, a lot of times they are not. Either way, it was a lot of money that they paid. We know that they've got the billionaire out there that played for Mike Leach and his buddy, who's also a billionaire, who also played for Mike Leach in like around 2004. And they already exited out of an energy company.
Jeez.
That's a big story right now. But next, Ed Werder, Cowboys NFL Insider, on the Farm Bureau Insurance Guest Line, brought to you by award-winning Elijah Craig Bourbon and the Kentucky Derby.
so fresh.
Good morning. Welcome into the Out of Bounds Show. ESPN 105.9 The Zone, driven by your next GMC Sierra truck, pre-owned or new. You can get the Denali package, or GMC Yukon. You can get the Denali package for the SUV too. They got pre-owned and new. Fowler GMC, Pearl Brandon. All right, FowlerGMC.com, FOWLER. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. Our friend Ed Werder, Cowboys NFL insider, joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Cowboys coming off 2 first-round picks. I would have lost money because I would have bet that Jerry and Steven and Will would have gone defense-offense, but they stayed defense with Caleb and Malachi Lawrence, so we bring in Ed Werder. Ed, with Caleb Downs, were they surprised that a lot of people believe he's the most talented player in the draft? People go back and forth on this subjective, Jeremiah Love, there's a couple others. But were the Cowboys surprised that he was still there?
They were. They actually had him 4th overall on their draft board. And, they got to the point where they coveted him so much that when the Dolphins got on the clock at 11, the Cowboys decided to trade 2 draft picks to move up 1 spot just to ensure they weren't worried about the Dolphins taking Caleb Downs. They were worried about somebody trading up to the Dolphins pick and taking Caleb Downs. So to assure themselves that they would get Downs, they traded 2 draft picks to the Dolphins and then secured the player that they really coveted for Christian Parker's defense. They've recognized the way the game has evolved. The use of, 3 wide receivers. And so a team or a franchise that this time last year let one of the best slot corners in all of football in Jordan Lewis leave the organization and sign with the Jacksonville Jaguars for no compensation to Dallas, goes and gets a player to fill that role and maybe a player who's more versatile than that. I think they see him playing, nickel, strong safety, free safety, just being a very, integral part of what they try to do. I mean, they committed 6 of their 8 draft picks on improving a defense that was arguably last year the worst in franchise history, and now is being led by a 4th defensive coordinator in 4 years.
Who has no play calling experience. Right. And
the last 2, coordinators who have failed, Mike Zimmer and Matt Eberflus, both, fired after a single season of horrific defense, teams that allowed the highest point total in the NFL over the last 2 seasons combined. It's Dallas by 38 points. And these were 2 veteran, guys who knew the personnel in the league, certainly better than maybe Christian Parker, had a lot of experience in devising game plans and making play calls on game days. Christian Parker doesn't have any of that, but he's worked under Vance Joseph in Denver, one of the best defenses in football the last few years, especially in terms of creating pressure on the quarterback, and Vic Fangio in Philadelphia, a Super Bowl type of defense. And he's coached primarily the defensive backs. And so him now taking, Caleb Downs, I think you can expect the kind of success that, Dijon had in Philadelphia as a rookie, that Patrick Surtain had early in his career as a defensive player of the year in Denver, Quinyon Mitchell with the Eagles. So I think they feel very good about the fact that they've acquired Caleb Downs, and he's going to be coached by Christian Parker. At the owners' meetings, Brian Schottenheimer, who made this hire, and that's significant, and we can talk about that process, but he said Christian Parker is, in his mind, a great young defensive coordinator, but he's a superstar when it comes to coaching the secondary.
Okay. All right, well, let's talk about that process with Schotty landing on Christian Parker. So far, listeners, Caleb Downs, safety out of Ohio State. I think this is a great pick. I know I give Jerry and Steven hell, but this is a fantastic pick. Then they followed it up with Malachi Lawrence. We'll get to that in a few minutes. But Schotty, walk us through how he landed on Christian Parker. You hit on that a little bit.
Yeah, they interviewed 9. They brought in 9 defensive coordinator prospects, and pretty early on, Christian Parker made the most significant impact, not only in, how he was able to express to them he wanted the defense to look, but also, obviously, I mentioned, who he's been influenced by in terms of who his mentors have been, Vance Joseph in Denver, Vic Fangio most recently in Philadelphia. So they're taking a guy that they think is really bright and has earned this opportunity. And if it hurts Philadelphia, so much the better, right? But, hiring Christian Parker, who is the youngest defensive coordinator in Cowboys history, then dedicating the majority of their draft picks to defensive players. The first 5 of the first 6 were 2 defensive players. That's the most they've had since Dan Quinn's first year in 2021. And we might remember that Quinn replaced, it was an experienced guy, but inherited, as I said, a terrible defense under Mike Nolan. Yet they ranked no worse than 7th in scoring defense, then won 36 regular season games the next 3 years. They led the NFL in takeaways and defensive touchdowns and created an identity as a pressure defense. So they have once before, Bo, turned their defense completely around from being the worst in the league to one of the elite defenses, at least in the regular season, not so much in the playoffs, but in the regular season in the league. And they're hoping that, that's kind of the goal again, that they can repeat that success. And I think, more to the point, this offseason could really prove transformative in that I don't know if Jerry's had an epiphany. I do know for certain that he wants to take advantage of Dak Prescott's remaining, window as a franchise quarterback and as an elite player in the league, and that he sees it as a, 2-3 years that they have to get to the Super Bowl with this quarterback. And as a result, he seems to this offseason have empowered Schottenheimer, to hire his own coaches and then allow them to take the lead on personnel decisions and roster construction, including, running the draft.
Ed Werder, Cowboys Insider on the Out of Bounds show. Okay, so he recognizes that he has screwed this thing up with 2 very talented quarterbacks in Dak and Romo. To what extent is a great debate. But there was all this talk, I know we talked to you a month ago, there was all this talk about jumping in free agency and really getting some things done. Yep. And they didn't, other than Rashawn Gary, which I think is nice, but is that a big enough impact to really move the needle on a defense that finished 32nd in defensive scoring efficiency, Ed?
Well, I don't think that they look at, the Rashawn Gary as, okay, we've replaced Micah Parsons with the guy he replaced in Green Bay. I think they see it more as a cumulative effect of all these. When Jerry made the Micah Parsons trade, which I criticized, and I'm still not convinced it was the right thing to do. But now that we start to see, who they've received it as a direct result, either in terms of, making a trade with one of the picks or sitting there and, like they did with Quinnen Williams, or sitting there and making a pick like Malachi Lawrence. I think they see Gary as a guy who's going to hold up better in the run. He's not, the elite edge rusher that Micah Parsons was. He's never going to be that. But it's just the overall change in the defensive scheme and the organizational approach to playing defense and putting those pieces together. And Jerry said when they made that trade that, Micah's value, like that of Herschel Walker, may be more in what he can bring us as an individual in terms of multiplicity of picks. So, like Jerry said, I'm going to turn Micah Parsons into 4 or 5 players, and they've done that. Now they've got to use the players adequately, develop the young players, the right way, and see if this is a better fit than having one elite rusher on their defense. I mean, Quinnen Williams is a great player inside. They got Kenny Clark. He's going to start on the defensive line. They traded Oso Digizua to San Francisco, which how come they can never trade any of their players to anybody but the teams that are better than them?
I don't understand that, Ed. I don't. I guess
Jerry was criticized for that with they after they made the trade in the first round to secure Caleb Downs, they later traded in the first round before they took Malachi Lawrence at 23. They traded the 20th pick to the Eagles and allowed the Eagles to jump in front of Pittsburgh, which was already on the phone with USC receiver Malachi Lemon, and pick him. So now when the Cowboys play the Eagles this year, the Eagles are going to start 2 receivers against this defense that they acquired with picks they got from the Cowboys on the day of the draft. Devontae Smith was acquired by them when the Cowboys moved down and took Micah Parsons. So That's an interesting dynamic. Now, maybe that results in them not having to face A.J. Brown, which is not a bad thing. They've had trouble covering him, but it's just a unique dynamic. And Jerry was asked about it afterwards. He said, well, if I can't trade with any of the teams whose A's I want to kick, then I won't be left to trade with anybody.
Howie Roseman just has to laugh at Jerry and Steven. I think John Lynch does too. Ed Werder, Cowboys NFL Insider, on the Out of Bounds show, driven by your next GMC Sierra truck at Fowler GMC, Pearl, Brandon. Okay, so they're basically standing pat on offense. They're like, we have Dak and CD and George Pickens and Phil.
George Pickens.
Right. And feel good about it, right?
Yeah, they probably should. I mean, if you look at what happened last year, Dak Prescott, had, as Jerry said, I think we may have just seen, and maybe this is why he had an epiphany, if that's what it was. We just saw Dak Prescott, in his words, have maybe the greatest season he's had in his 10 years as a Cowboys starting quarterback, and we couldn't win. They were among a handful of teams that finished in the top 10 in, offensive scoring, passing game, rushing game. Everybody else, there were 5 teams that did that. Not only are they the only one who didn't make the playoffs, they didn't even have a winning record. And so because the defense was so flawed and couldn't get stops and couldn't create turnovers and couldn't give Dak Prescott short fields, the Cowboys had the worst starting field position in football. They started the fewest offensive possessions on the opponent's side of the 50-yard line of any team in football, and still that group you're talking about on offense, Dak Prescott and those receivers and Javonte Williams and the offensive line, they still ranked 7th in the NFL in scoring. They had the longest field in the NFL and still ranked in the top 10 in the NFL in scoring. So that's why I think there's this focus and emphasis, dedication to trying to, as quickly as possible, fix the defensive side of the football and make this a competitive team overall.
You just hit on something. I did feel like they always started drives on like their own 10 or 15-yard line throughout the year. Yeah. It's just a grind to go 90, 85 yards anytime they wanted to get some points. He is Ed Werder, fantastic NFL reporter, insider on the Out of Bounds show. Oh, Ed, were you in the press conference when Bill Clinton showed up last week or whenever that was?
No, I wasn't there when Bill Clinton showed up, but the significance of Bill Clinton showing up, just kind of reminds us all that it's always a circus.
Yes.
Star, and you never know what's going to happen. But it is worth noting that Bill Clinton was the, sitting president the last time the Cowboys won a Super Bowl. In fact, he was the sitting president for all 3 of their most recent Super Bowls. And the joke I used to tell, if everybody remembers the infamous White House that the players created during the dynasty years of the 90s, I used to say, Bill Clinton is really upset with the Cowboys because he regularly invited them to his White House, and they never invited him to theirs.
Oh man! So you were on the beat then? Did all y'all know about that house?
Yeah, we knew about it, but you really couldn't report anything about it because it was, the players weren't going to talk about it.
Sure.
And there was no real way to confirm it until, it came out later that, Jerry was made aware of it by, confronting Michael Irvin about it and kind of put a stop to it.
He's probably jealous. Anyway.
We were aware. I mean, players, like some players who were critical of those who were involved in creating that situation, would speak off the record to it. But it was just a very difficult thing to get on the record and report. Maybe by today's journalistic standards, something could have been done and maybe would have been done online. But that resource didn't exist at the time, and the standards of reporting were significantly higher than they are today.
Ed Werder talking Cowboys on the Farm Bureau Insurance Guest Line. So, all right, what is the latest on George Pickens?
So the latest on George Pickens is, they franchise tagged him so that they controlled, the current season. And he signed his franchise tag yesterday, which means he's now guaranteed, making the franchise tag wide receiver number, which is $27.3 million, which is not a small sum of money for a guy who made just over $3 million last year, despite, leading the Cowboys in every receiving category and setting personal records in all three of those in his first year with the Cowboys offense. And he obviously values playing with Dak Prescott and playing with, CeeDee Lamb and these guys. I'm just not 100% convinced this thing is over. The signing the tag guarantees him the money. It also obligates him to participate in all mandatory team activities, including their mandatory mini camp in the middle of June and training camp. But we'll see. Like, guys who have been under contract before have, used their absence from training camp to create leverage to get a better contract or to get traded. I've just never seen a situation like this, Bo, where 3 months before the deadline to sign a franchise tag player to a long-term contract, that the team announces it has no interest in negotiating a long-term contract with a player who came in and had the kind of positive impact that he had. Now, I know there are also people who think, hey, I wouldn't touch this guy, long-term with his maturity issues, with the fact he doesn't always play hard, with he doesn't block. I wouldn't touch this guy, but I don't think that's the way the Cowboys front office views him, and I just can't believe he's going to accept making, $7 million less than CeeDee Lamb and the top receivers in football for even 1 year, even though it's a substantial pay increase and by far the most money, he'll ever make to this point in his life. I just think everything he's going to do is, and probably should be, directed toward becoming the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL in 2027. And he's got the right agent to accomplish that. David Mulugeta.
Bam.
Who did he represent last year? Micah Parsons. And Jerry assured us everything was calm. Don't worry about Micah Parsons. We're going to get this done. He's going to be a Cowboy for life. And what happened? He didn't make it to week 1 before they traded him. So we'll see.
And we could definitely have a circus with this in July and or August is where you're
Jerry
going.
Jerry likes to create drama. He
Sure.
said that, right? And this is the player, this is the vehicle to have that impact if Jerry so desires.
Good hell. All right. Ed Werder on the Out of Bounds show. Last one, Ed. Stephen, so, Jerry, I don't think will ever figure it out. And I think he just says a bunch of stuff and he's kind of in a kooky stage. Let's go with with Stephen. Do you believe that he's like hungry to win and win at a high level again? Or they've made so much money in oil, energy, gas, and football that it's kind of like, if we win, great. But if we don't, Dad and I are still making hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions, in all these different investments.
Yeah, I get the perception. They're wealthy beyond anyone's imagination, and Jerry's an incredible businessman, and his ability in that realm is really the reason he's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But I do actually think being around them and interacting with them since they came into the league in 1989 and I covered the team, I really think they do want to win. They desperately want to win. I kind of laugh when Jerry says, you won't believe the size of the check I would write to win in one more Super Bowl. But the reality is, what if you're not required to win a Super Bowl by signing a big check? What if it's by actually hiring a legitimate general manager to put the roster together and to make the coaching decisions on who's the head coach and who's, and so forth. And that's where he draws the line. He won't do that, obviously. I think Stephen will run the team differently when the time comes. But, I sat down with Charlotte and Jerry Jr. and Stephen last year, and ultimately Jerry and Gene at their home in Highland Park, as I was doing a series of podcasts on the Netflix documentary.
Yeah.
Jerry Jones, the gambler, and or whatever the title, I can't remember the title of it, the Cowboys and the Gambler. And anyway, and they were so emotional about, Jerry's age and, the families, just so determined and desperate to see this end the right way for Jerry with, one more title that maybe he can claim more of his own than any of the others that they've won.
Wow.
So yeah, I do think they want to win as a family. I think it's important to them in a way that maybe people are skeptical of. I don't really doubt that they want to win, but will he do anything to win? I think Jerry's clearly demonstrated he won't do everything to win because he's had 30 years to evaluate his own performance as general manager and make a different decision and do it a different way, and has chosen not to. But I do think that we're seeing them operate differently now this offseason than they have any time recently in terms of empowering, the head coach and the coaching staff.
We'll leave it there. Ed Werder, NFL Cowboys insider on the Out of Bounds show. Ed, that was great. Let's do it again in a few weeks.
Sounds great, Bo. Look forward to talking to you again. Thanks. Have a great day.
He's the best. Ed Werder talking Cowboys. Caleb Downs, safety out of Ohio State. Hell of a pick there. I mean, he was there, and I was actually surprised that he was there. He can do it all. I mean, he is top 5 most talented player in the draft, without a doubt.
Yep.
And again, he can defend the run, defend the pass, and he can rush the quarterback, which is pretty incredible that he can do all. You can line him up anywhere on the field. And so if he stays healthy, he will have at minimum a really good career, but could have a great career. And people like Malachi Lawrence, edge rusher out of Central Florida, and 5 of the first 6 picks were defense. And but Bartu came on and said, look, it's not when you finish 32nd in defensive scoring efficiency, regardless of can they be better? Of course they can. It's just like telling me that Coleman Hutzler to Zach Arnett. I mean,
sure.
I hear people say that. Well, no blank. Yeah. Of course they're going to be better. I mean, Zach could just show up and not even say anything and them be better. But so you're 32nd. You have nowhere to go but like to be 26th or 23rd or 21st in defensive scoring efficiency.
Right.
But you have to be top 10 in both offense and defensive scoring efficiency to be what you want to be if you're a Saints fan or Cowboys fan or a Titans fan or whoever you pull for. So
Titans still have fans.
Yeah. What kind of shot was that?
It's Vrabel.
Well, he's now in New England.
By affiliation. Guilty by association. That's what my parents always told me I was.
Well, that's because you went and found trouble.
That's a good point.
Throughout your life.
Yeah, created it.
Yes.
Manifested it.
You kind of define what mischief is.
That's a good, yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
I'll accept that.
Ed Werder on the Out of Bounds show. ESPN 105.9 The Zone, brought to you by Juniker Jewelry Store in Madison, Highland Colony, right around the corner from us. If you're looking for an engagement ring, you want to be a 5-star player, Juniker Jewelry Store, bracelets, earrings, necklaces, all brought to you by Juniker Jewelry Store. Stop by there today and tell them we said hello. The show is also presented by Taste Italian Kitchen in the Renaissance. It was Shrimp Scampi Day yesterday, and they have a delicious pasta shrimp scampi dish at Taste Italian Kitchen that you can pair with a Tito's espresso martini.
Yeah, we celebrated that.
WRKS Pickens Jackson.
All systems go.
Live from the Whiskey 61 Lounge inside the Bank Plus studio.
Is now morning.
Live in the studio. It's the Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds. Streaming live worldwide on the Out of Bounds radio app. And on your radio at ESPN 105.9. All set? Let's go. The Zone.
They're gonna give Daddy the Rain Man suite. You dig that? We're going to Vegas, Mike.
Vegas! You think we get there by midnight?
Money, we're gonna be up 500 by midnight.
Ah, Vegas!
Vegas, baby, Vegas!
Out of Bounds, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. Ed Werder was fantastic, Cowboys NFL insider. And the circus, as Ed said, continues with Jerry Jones leading the way for the Dallas Cowboys. And so we'll see what happens with George Pickens and if that gets sideways at some point in July or August. The CeeDee Lamb deal a couple of years ago really screwed them up. CeeDee and Dak talked about how CeeDee not participating in any of the offseason or August, was a roadblock as far as chemistry and timing. And they got that deal done. Was it the week of the first game or after the first game? And so we'll see, will George Pickens hold the line? This is the diva position. And then you throw in the fact that they put the franchise tag on him, but he wants some moolah and some guarantee. I get it. I mean, this is a game, one hit, and you're out, either for a year or possibly longer. I understand it. So we'll keep an eye on that. Ed Werder did not seem really confident in how this could play out with wide receiver George Pickens, who had a hell of a year. Dak was able to keep him in check as far as his attitude. And, of course, fed him the football, and he had a really good year. And they were good on offense. They were just, Pickens was good and
Really good.
Played well. And, he had a hell of a year.
Oh, he had a really good year.
He had a hell of a year, but they finished 32nd in defensive scoring efficiency, which was also Dak's fault. And so we'll see how that looks.
He gets top money from a lot of teams.
George Pickens? Yeah. ESPN 105.9 The Zone, brought to you by Superior Foundation. If you have foundation issues, you want to go with the local company that backs up their work with a warranty. Superior Foundation. French drains and driveways to parking lots, superior.ms. Derek is on the Dancing Rabbit Golf text line, and he says, success for a player in Dallas outside of a Super Bowl will always be overshadowed by the inability of the head coach to be the head coach and the owner to stay out of it. But that will never happen. Jerry Jones is like a bull in a china shop. Everything is perfect if he just doesn't touch anything. Best analogy for Dallas, Chevy Chase is the head coach and Cousin Eddie is the owner. Just can't wait to mess it up. That's pretty good by Derek.
Got to have your fingers in it, man.
Yeah.
Got to have the Jerry stamp. There's got to be a piece of Jerry in everything that happens with the Cowboys, right? Like, he can't allow someone else to make a really good move for them without him having his imprint in it.
I think you're right.
They can't.
On that. Yeah.
No way. He has to say he wants the credit, man.
Oh, well, I mean, that's the reason why we went through the divorce 100 years ago with he and Jimmy Johnson. He wanted the credit. Jimmy was getting the credit. It drove him crazy. He said what he said in the Orlando bar at the NFL owners meetings. It got back to Jimmy. They couldn't patch it up. Boom, boom, divorce.
That story by Ed Werder was tight. That was really good.
Yeah.
Wherever he told us that.
Yeah.
Last summer, maybe.
He was there.
Yeah.
When Jerry said what he said.
That was a good story.
And Jerry's yet to make Well, I'm sorry. Switzer got one with everything that was set up. And since then, they've yet to make the NFC Championship game.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Yeah. And Aikman's last few years were, a disaster and so on. I think he would have played another couple years, but he didn't believe in the not. And look, I mean, think about it. Jerry Jones hired Dave Campo as a head coach, Jason Garrett, Wade Phillips. I mean, it's unbelievable. It really is. Find us on X at Bo Bounds. Michelob Ultra caller line, 601-707-3750. Oh, yeah, I'll do that for sure. I love that. This fits Jerry perfect.
Clown acts.
Mm-hmm.
Clown acts.
What he does to the Cowboys?
It's really despicable.
Yeah.
It's really despicable.
I just...
That's his team.
Jerry Jones is a general manager.
It's really despicable.
Or owner / GM.
It's really despicable.
But as he says, I own the team. I can do what I want. And he's right.
Hey.
He can.
Yeah. For better or worse. What does Steven do all day?
We just went over that.
Other than the country club deal, but he's got to do something at noon. I mean, he's got to do something at 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. Like, what is he doing?
They take calls with investors.
The whole day, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're their own private equity company because of the money they have.
Okay.
So they take calls from people who want them to invest in whatever. And people are pitching them nonstop.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, when you're $1 billion liquid, you get call plus what you can leverage. I mean, he's got
everything.
What, $15 billion worth of assets, including the Cowboys? Maybe more than that. But when you're liquid and what you can go get, they're just fielding calls. I mean, they have maybe multiple CFOs, but I'm talking about outside the Cowboys,
right? That
are like, here are the people who want to talk to you, and they're doing X, Y, and Z. From AI to energy and gas to tech and everything. Well, AI is tech, but everything in between. That's what they do.
I can't believe Jerry let Steven take those phone calls.
Oh, I think he's in on damn near every one.
Yeah, he's got to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Ed Werder just said that Steven's going to run it a different way. We don't, no. It won't be in time for Dak, okay? So, because Dak's got a couple more years left here. I mean, he's had 6 phenomenal years as far as playing, and then a couple of good years. And then, he had one bad, he's only had one, and I'm not even sure I'd go there, bad year. Yeah. But they never did anything when they had him on the 4th round rookie contract, in which he played at an MVP level as a rookie. Mm-hmm. And only reason why they didn't win the go to the NFC Championship game is Aaron Rodgers was unbelievable in the 4th quarter 11 years ago for the Green Bay Packers. And, of course, that was when Aaron was in his prime. And I think they've missed their window. I'd like to know how many times a defense has gone from 32nd to top 10 in 1 year. Either never, maybe once. I doubt it. To me, this looks like a build, like the Seahawks did over several years, and the Eagles, and the Rams, and several other teams, including the Chiefs. That was a build.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they didn't just drop Mahomes. I mean, there was a build up to do what they did. Now I know it was kind of a dynasty, right?
Yeah.
But, well, yeah.
Oh no, it's
it is
100%.
No doubt. You're right. When you get 3,
yeah,
no doubt.
Span of what, 7 years?
What if they don't make it again to the playoffs?
What great dynasty it was. Over. Feels over.
You feel like it's over?
Yeah.
Chris Jones is getting up there. Travis Kelce's really getting up there. Back in a second.
You gonna show me the money.
All right, good morning. Welcome into the Out of Bounds Show, brought to you by Pearl River Resort and the Golden Moon Casino Vegas-style sportsbook. Some of you want to talk about Brendan Sorsby, maybe the Texas Tech quarterback. He's accused of betting on Indiana games when he was there in 2022. They may shed more light on what he did do. Who knows? Right now, under NCAA investigation, according to reports, bets were mostly on Indiana to win. He did not play in those games. No evidence that he tried to fix games or influence outcomes. He was at Indiana, and then Cincinnati, he really got rolling. And then he jumps in the portal, and Texas Tech, according to reports, offered him $4 to $6 million to play quarterback. And they're backed by a couple of billionaires who played for Mike Leach in the early 2000s, who were able to build up some energy companies and cash in. NCAA rules, zero tolerance for that. Betting on sports as a college athlete is a violation, period.
Right.
Indefinite leave from Texas Tech. Head coach Joey McGuire is publicly supporting him because he's in blank mode.
Yeah.
Treatment program, is his eligibility in jeopardy? Hell yes, it is.
Oh, yeah.
It could be a season suspension up to permanent ineligibility.
Right.
The NCAA can't do the investigation, really. It takes, investigative reporters to go out and do it, like a Pat Forty. Right. And because the NCAA doesn't have the resources to do anything, except everybody shows up to work in Indianapolis and kind of shuffles some paper and some pens around. And gets paid. Cinnamon rolls and coffee. Lots of committees. How many committees can we form? And they could set a record. They could give the federal government a run for their money in committees or HOAs. Seriously. How many committees does the NCAA create or form? And 99.9% of them don't do anything. Here's the deal. He was reportedly offered $4 to $6 million from Texas Tech. That'll be yanked. Oh, yeah. I guess a playoff caliber roster again. I don't know that for sure because it's hard to handicap all this stuff. But they decided they were in. They have money. They found a couple of boosters, and then several more jumped in. But when one of your main guys is a billionaire, he can do kind of whatever he wants. And people think that he runs Texas Tech now. Maybe he does. They just paid millions for a QB, but they haven't paid him all that money yet. So we'll see how that looks. He didn't fix games, but he crossed the NCAA's biggest red line. Should intent matter? No game manipulation? Or is betting alone enough? If he bet on his own program, Indiana, and we don't know about Cincinnati yet, is that an automatic lifetime ban? Would the NFL take him if college football shuts the door? Does the NCAA lose control of the sport if they don't hammer him? Or have they've already lost control?
Yeah.
I think we're just waiting for the SEC and Big Ten to break away and form their own entity. I don't know what that will look like. Have a football commissioner totally dedicated to football, which has been needed for 30 years now since money really started coming into the game in the mid-90s. Would you rather lose your star QB to injury or to a gambling scandal? Well, neither. What are we doing? So star QB, millions in NIL, possible gambling addiction, or maybe he was just a social gambler.
Right.
All right. And then the NCAA hammer looming. Or does Texas Tech throw up double birds?
No way.
Now, we'll see.
Whoa.
What can you would think that Texas Tech is going to exhaust everything they can resource-wise and legally. I just told you about the two billionaires who played for Mike Leach 22 years ago or whatever.
Oh my God. He's gonna skate. He can skate. What happens?
What are you talking about?
If they threw up the double birds, then what? Then what?
Well, I don't know what all they can do.
Right.
But my thought process here is, again, with one, the two billionaires, two, their commitment to winning. They just went to the college football playoff.
Yeah.
They will at least exhaust everything that they can do, or they believe that they can do, whether he's guilty,
right,
or
right.
Maybe he is innocent.
Sure.
So,
but there's a slight chance of the double birds. Why wouldn't you come out and make it happen in NCAA? Make a landmark case. You want to be the name on a landmark case? Let's do it.
Oh, they don't. NCAA doesn't care. No,
I wouldn't do it. It's a lot. Well, how much you invested into the quarterback so far? Your season was invested in him, obviously.
Absolutely. So, $4 to $6 million for a really, really good, productive QB that's played a lot of football. They were super excited about Brendan Sorsby, or may still be, but They were.
I wonder. How much money are you able to recoup if you do the double birds? I don't know. That's a lot. If I got $1 billion, I'm probably doing it anyways. Why not?
So, unnamed texter says he's done. It's over. Look at the Rocco Beck from Iowa State, lifetime ban. He'll have to go D3 or UFL, which that's already, I think, right? Yeah. Or hope the NFL has a supplemental draft, which they haven't had since 2019.
That's right.
He was reportedly making like 20 bets per day on average, with records of 10,000 plus bets.
That ain't that bad. It's not that bad.
You love it.
That is not that bad.
Have you made over 1,000 bets in 1 month?
Oh, easily. Oh, wait. You can scorch past that.
Okay.
Especially if you get hot.
Right. If you get hot, you can't.
How do I know my guy wasn't out there saying, you know what, we're hot this quarter, give me quarter number 2. So intent, it probably doesn't matter to the NCAA, but I think it should.
So you've placed over 1,000 bets in 1 month between like ping pong and women's tennis in Malaysia or Philippines.
When you bet every point, there's at least what?
Oh, yeah. There's 100, 200 points. You probably made 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 bets.
A lot. In a month?
Yeah.
It's way too long.
Way too low?
Way too long. There might have been 3 or 4 in 1 month.
All right.
Ooh, yeah.
We're live in the Bank Plus studio. Out of bounds, ESPN 105.9 The Zone.
I mean, that's a joke to me.
Out of bounds, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. Jackson Meadows is basically questioning why this is a big deal during the break. And I knew it. I could have written that script. Brendan Sorsby, transfer quarterback into Texas Tech, is accused of basically betting his tail off on his own team. Now, no evidence to date he tried to fix or influence outcomes. We're going to see what the bookies say. But it's a hell of a story. You got a couple of billionaires who have funded Tech, along with some 100 millionaires that have funded Texas Tech. They've been winning, like some of the other teams, Ole Miss and so on, that went in on NIL and in early and realized that you either go in and get it done or you get to be god-awful, like some of the teams that didn't embrace it, Mississippi State and Arkansas. Indefinite leave from Texas Tech for the quarterback. $4 to $6 million on the table that he may blow. He may blow $4 to $6 million with this deal. His name's Brendan Sorsby. He was going to be QB1 for the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Dual threat, talented, played a lot of football. They went out and got him in the portal, $4 to $6 million. However you want to run the numbers, $400,000 a month for $400,000 to $600,000 a month, depending on how they ran the numbers, for around 12 months. Okay? Surely they wrote the contract to where if this plays out, payments, and maybe the suspension indefinitely, boom, payments are done until the NCAA comes up with what they believe happened. And most of you on the Golden Moon Casino text line are saying he's done. Then we got a guy there that goes who kind of the Jackson Meadows. Who cares if you're betting on yourself to win? Yeah. You're playing to win anyways. NCAA is a joke. Betting to lose is another story. Yeah. Betting to lose should be an automatic lifetime ban. So Mac in Vicksburg says, let this man, basically he's saying to the NCAA, free Brendan Sorsby.
That's what's up. I'll get a shirt.
Well, you're going to go with whoever is getting accused or being arrested.
Yes.
You're always going to go against the man.
As long as it's the NCAA, I'm going against them.
Okay.
Most of the mans, yes, but definitely.
But law enforcement, NCAA, you're always going against the man.
Yeah.
You're and all the different things that we cover, your initial reaction is always, it's them.
Yeah.
Not whoever could be getting rung up, like here, Brendan Sorsby, quarterback, who it looks like did a $4 to $6 million 1-year deal with the Texas Tech Red Raiders.
He's in college.
Okay.
There's a bookie in every single fraternity you walk in there.
Well,
I guess they don't play college
of course
sports.
there is.
But, the rule wasn't put into place until 2023. I'm going for the injunction, baby.
Okay.
Give me the injunction. How long does it take the NCAA to investigate anything? All I need is 1 year. I don't even need that.
Does Texas Tech just say no? Do whatever you want to us.
Yeah.
Do they go to the Big 12 and say we are not going to agree if they ban him?
You go for the injunction right after that, then what? We're tied up. And we're litigating. For how long? I don't know how much litigating's going on there, but they're doing something.
Oh, there'll be some there. What does Andrew Brandt say on Twitter? Anytime there's any kind of scandal or standoff, he's an attorney, but he was with the Green Bay Packers front office, and now he's a sport law professor for Villanova. but he always quote tweets it. There will be attorneys.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I love PT4 MSU. Innocent until proven guilty. Let him play. Well, they'll figure out. The NCAA is going to make a decision before Labor Day weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Now, they may not be in any hurry. They may not make one till like June 1 or June 15. I mean, I don't know how long it's going to take to get all the information.
Okay. If it takes that long.
And maybe they already have it. I don't know.
Good point. But then the filing of all this stuff, I don't know, man. That's a long time.
Did NIL money plus easy betting access create this problem? No.
No, it wasn't.
Believe it or not, it didn't.
They didn't have NIL money.
Well, that's right. Back in 2022, if that was the only year, I find this hard. We're going to see if this bled over into when he really started playing. But, which I would think if you're betting then, you're betting
now
up until, throughout last year, but maybe not. Maybe he knew somebody was on him and he stopped. I have no idea. But, access to betting on college campuses is never going to go away.
Somebody snitched. Somebody had a snitch on him.
No, somebody always snitches.
Somebody snitched on him.
Yeah.
Oh, who got
And
sold?
somebody always talks,
That's
whether
how
it's
it
the
is.
underworld,
Right.
the overworld, the inner world. Well, it doesn't.
Oh.
Somebody always talks.
Come on.
It doesn't matter what's going on.
You're right.
In any way, shape, form, facet of life, somebody's going to talk.
Back.
Steve Robertson coming up in 5 minutes on the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone.
So he didn't pay a bookie back and the bookie called him?
Well, a lot of times that's what happens.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, the bottom line is a bookie's just going to be, hey, I've got a player from Indiana betting with me.
Yeah.
And he's just going to say it casually.
Oh, yeah.
Well, then that person's going to tell that. I mean, this isn't hard.
No, it unravels.
And I mean, you've got phone. If the bookie's like, here's our interaction.
Yeah.
So through, hey, I want to bet on Indiana Purdue
Right.
on October 1st, 2022. And the bookie's like, if you want to see if this is his number, y'all can confirm that.
Right.
But here's the number. Here's what I've got.
Yeah, but that's hairy too, though.
Is it?
Yeah, I could prove I was the one placing that bet.
Oh, right. So he can say my roommate had my phone or my girlfriend and she was placing bets and I didn't know it.
Plausible
I was getting ready for the game or walking the dog. How far is that going to go?
Well,
We'd have to ask Chuck Mullins. Is this a good defense?
Can it buy you a few weeks?
I didn't bet. I was not the one betting from texting the bookie from my phone. It was my buddy or my girlfriend.
Yeah. Like, I'm sure that works for fraudsters and scammers, right? Like, I wasn't doing that. It wasn't me on the phone.
Is there a window to go to the NFL this summer?
So
I don't know how that works.
The only reason the supplemental draft has not been, a thing for the past couple of years is because no one's declared for it.
Okay.
And that has a lot to do with NIL, and the transfer portal more so than NIL.
Okay.
If he declared.
Ready Teddy on the Dancing Rabbit Golf text line. We were betting on college and we had no NIL money or barely any money at all. Well, yeah, I don't know what percentage of guys, but that's a large, even if guys are betting $5, $10, $15 a game.
Right.
Or like you said, sometimes doing $5 and $10 parlays where you can win $700.
I can't, man. I'd like to know where they retrieved his bets from. Like, was it if he was dumb enough to get on a FanDuel or something like that? That's on him. And at that point, that's on you, my guy.
Well,
like, you screwed
or
up.
it doesn't, or if it's just a bookie in Bloomington.
Yeah, well, that bookie should have kept his mouth shut.
Or Cincinnati. What do you mean shoulda? What does that mean? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you got hush.
No, nobody in that world hushes.
That is
nobody in the world, period, hushes.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, there's White House leaks every single day, whether it's in Trump's administration, Biden's, Obama. You have people talking about what they shouldn't talk about, quote unquote, off the record to either reporters or just people in governmental affairs. And that's the White House, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Hey, I need to leak something. We're about to do X, Y, and Z in the Middle East.
Do you think they sold that information to somebody? I mean, like, do you sell
the bookie?
Yeah.
No.
You don't do that like a TMZ type deal does for
Oh, you're okay. I thought you were talking about the NCAA buying. No.
No.
Yeah, I mean
Like the
TMC buys information. You're right, but I don't know how. I don't know if they've done it in this particular case. But yes, TMC buys information. I don't even know how that. Like, I don't know how each transaction. I guess it depends on the story and how big the star is, or how big the story is as far as how deep. I mean, they're hundreds of millions of dollar company, I think, TMZ. So whether they're paying $5,000 for information or $700,000 for information, I'm thinking that they're probably not scared, especially if it's like Leonardo DiCaprio level actor. Okay, yeah. Steve Robertson will join us here in a few minutes, or a minute, on the Out of Bounds Show, brought to you by the amazing Two Brothers Wings. Are those great or what? I didn't get any last weekend. Not happy about that, but I will redeem myself this weekend as I'm heading up to Zach Bryan. And the Kentucky Derby is going to be on, like, dear. This is going to be awesome. We got to ask Steve Robertson about this. All right. GenesPage.com, 247 Sports. Steve Robertson joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance Guest Line, brought to you by the Reuben Sandwich at Older Brother Bistro, which is amazing. Steve, do you own a linen shirt or a seersucker shirt? We've been talking about the Kentucky Derby.
What kind of question is that?
Well, I think it's important right now.
No, I don't own any of that stuff, man. I got Motley Crue and Rat shirts, and I got a few button-ups and collared shirts, but no, you'd never see me wearing seersucker.
Okay.
Come on.
All right. Hey, Jackson, write this down. We're getting Steve a seersucker shirt for the Derby, even though he's going to be in Austin, Texas. That's going to be a place. Hey, 6th Street, I can promise you they're going to have some, and all around Austin, they're going to have some phenomenal Kentucky Derby parties. Steve Robertson on the Out of Bounds Show does not own a linen shirt or a seersucker shirt, but has every vintage of Motley Crue shirts, which is awesome. There's been that have rolled out since 1986. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance Guest Line. Hey, who was your MVP of the weekend? Was it Jack Bauer? Was it Ace Reese? Was it someone else? Who was Steve Robertson's MVP of the LSU series?
I think you can make a case for a lot of those guys, but, I would say Ace, because every time it felt like it, when State got down to an early deficit, Ace had a big swing to get State back in the ball game. And I think Ace is a guy that you kind of build your belief around, and, I think really what's interesting, you go back and you break down those games, and there was a contribution from everybody, but I think some of those big swings early to kind of get the crowd re-engaged was huge.
Absolutely. Okay, Texas is loaded. I mean, Mississippi State's got a good club. Although, I don't know if you want to touch on the fact that all the starters were rough. Let's go there before I dive into what Texas is, okay, and their strength. How concerned are you that Tomas Duke and Charlie Foster struggled last weekend?
Well, number one, I'd say Jay Johnson's one of the best baseball coaches in America.
No doubt.
And so you knew they'd be prepared, and, that's the challenge now for Brian O'Connor and Justin Parker. It's now you've got to figure out, okay, what did they pick up? Because they were absolutely ready for everything State threw from a starting standpoint. However, at the bullpen, they weren't ready. So I think, number one, you give LSU a lot of credit for game planning. But in the end, I think, Justin Parker and Brian O'Connor won the chess match. But I think you've got to go back and be very critical if you're Justin Parker and say, okay, where are we tipping pitches here? What were we doing that allowed them to kind of pick up? Because, a friend of mine told me, it's just some of their swings against Tomas on that slider were just not natural. Like they knew something, knew that it was coming. So now you have to figure out what that was and ensure when you go to Texas that whatever LSU saw, Texas doesn't see.
Right. Okay. All right. Speaking of the Texas Longhorns, number 3 in RPI. Steve, did you see in Warren Nolan that the updated that Mississippi State moved up to 10th?
Well, at the end of the day, I keep up with that stuff, but the only one of them that really counts is the last one.
Sure.
And State has a tremendous opportunity because the 3 remaining weekend opponents are all top 5 RPI teams.
Yeah.
And so, win or lose, you're going to, get some juice there with your strength of schedule. But, you can somehow go 5-4, 6-3. I think you put yourselves in a strong position for, top 8 national seed consideration. But I think, but there's 10 games left. The state finishes 500 in those last 10 games. I think you feel like you still got a good chance to host a regional. So I think there will be postseason baseball in Starkville, barring a complete collapse. But when you think about what's at stake and how bad everybody felt after those 2 sweeps, with Georgia and Tennessee, everything that you really want is still right there for you. You just got to go win some ball games.
GenesPage.com, 247 Sports. Steve and his crew are all over football, basketball, and baseball. We're talking Dogs at Longhorns this weekend, Schlossnagle, O'Connor. And first time for these two. They may have played years past, but as SEC coaches. So here we go. Now, tell us about Texas. Let's start with pitching. What do you know about this Texas Longhorns pitching staff?
Well, Volantis is one of the best arms in the country. And, he got state twice last year, in that sweep up here. They threw him twice on the weekend as out of the bullpen. They moved him to the rotation, and which has kind of eroded the bullpen just a little bit. I mean, that bullpen has had some shaky moments, and that's the case for a lot of people, right? I mean, over the course of a 50-plus game schedule, you're going to have some issues at times with your bullpen. But that's kind of been the book on Texas. Really, really good, strong pitching to start, but you just want to be in the game when they go to the bullpen. If you're not in the game, well, it's inconsequential, but you want to be within a couple runs when they pull the starter, and I think that's really the game plan for Mississippi State. You got to go out there and try to run up some pitch counts, but you can't play so conservative if you're playing not to lose. You got to be in attack mode, and when you get what you want, you got to be able to execute. But Texas is one of these teams. They're really good offensively. I won't say that they're elite, right? They've got obviously a handful of guys out there having great seasons, but it's not in order that you look at and say, okay, it's not Georgia, right? And so I think when you look at this Texas team, you got to go out there and just play clean. You can't give them anything because they're not going to give you much either. And so you're on the road. It's going to be an interesting weekend. I suspect the crowds will be pretty good. But, State, for the most part, has played pretty well on the road. And, I think State will be prepared. I kind of joked with O'Connor after Tuesday night's win over Ole Miss. I don't know if you heard, but State's 4-0 against Ole Miss this year. But I joked with him. I said, hey, that's 9 straight. And I said, I got to do to check the rest of the results, but that may be the longest active winning streak in the country. And he goes, really? I said, okay, let's go get 3 more this weekend. And he kind of grinned at me, and he goes, let's just focus on winning Friday, and we'll figure it out from there. And I kind of thought to myself, that's exactly what I want him to be thinking, right? I mean, you take it a game at a time. But, the team is playing well. And, I think even if you look back at Tuesday, I mean, State was a little bit charitable at times. You kind of helped manufacture a 2-out rally for Ole Miss, and they took full advantage. But ultimately, State wins the game. But I don't know that State's played their best baseball of the season, but the last 2 weeks, State has played some really good baseball.
All right, Steve Robertson, GenesPage.com, 247 Sports. Hit the site, subscribe if you're not a subscriber. And he joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance Guest Line. The show is brought to you by the Calamari and Wood-Fired Pizzas at Taste Italian Kitchen in the Renaissance and in Starkville. Okay, so you and I talked the last couple of weeks about this kind of group of 4 getting their mojo going and starting to rake at the plate. You just mentioned Ace was unbelievable over the weekend. Noah Sullivan had some better at-bats. And look, Aiden Till hit that. You were there. Aiden Till hit that ball dead red center, which is a tough ballpark to get out. I didn't think he was going to go that far, by the way, Tuesday night against Ole Miss, and hits the top of the wall. But it looks like these guys are starting to get going. Is that what you're seeing, Steve?
Yeah, and Aiden Till specifically, I think it's a good point, Bo. He's been in a little bit of a funk. And, last weekend against LSU, he nearly poked one out that was a double off the top of the wall, and he comes back on Sunday and does get one out. And I think his at-bats, he's grinding things out a little bit better. I think he's kind of dictating terms of the at-bat like he was earlier in the year. And you're right, he nearly hit a home run to center field at Trustmark on Tuesday. So I think he's seeing the baseball better, and whatever was going on with him seems to kind of be behind him now. And that's what you want, right? I mean, you start thinking about that aspect. I mean, kind of getting guys back into form. It is a long year. Guys have slumps. Sure. Guys have, off the field issues with finals and girlfriends, and there's always something, right? And you got to live life. They're not living life in a vacuum, and they're just like the rest of us. They're just navigating day to day. But I just wonder what this team could look like if everybody got hot at the same time. Yeah, I think that's one thing. Even as well as the season has gone, they haven't had that stretch where everybody was kind of pulling with the same ferocity in the same direction at the same time. And maybe that comes in the postseason. But I still think this team has a little bit left in the tank that hadn't been fully utilized.
Okay. Yeah. We'll see if some other guys get going. Steve Robertson, genespage.com. I guess we'll wrap it up with this. We've got an unnamed texter that wants to know how Steve's daughter is doing at Harvard in law school. Steve, how's your daughter doing?
Well, she's doing great. She's getting ready for finals. She won 3 Dean's Prizes the first semester, and she's in a position to win the Sears Prize as the top 1L at Harvard. But, I don't have to say anything other than, hey, good job, and I love you. And, she's very, very self-motivated. And I wanted to share something else with you, too, kind of off the topic a little bit. One of my friends from back in the day, back when I was in music, Benny Bruce, passed away yesterday. Yeah. And many of you would say, well, who's Benny Bruce? Benny Bruce is the founder of the Molly Ringwalds. And wow. I know a lot of your listeners are fans of the Ringwalds. And Benny hadn't been with them for a while, but they were a band that used to open for us. They were called Reality, and then became Pencils and Crayons and Crush UK. And eventually he just settled on being a cover band and became the Molly Ringwalds. And then made a lot of people in our generation get out and just be kids for a while and kind of forget about their troubles. And I wanted to honor my friend today and let people know that maybe have enjoyed the Ringwalds over the years, to know that, Benny, really the founder of the Feast, passed away. Unfortunately, he had brain cancer. It's just been a crazy thing. But I know many of your listeners at some point have gone and watched.
Oh, I have. Ringwalds. I've had a great time.
I wanted.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Man, I just wanted to honor my friend on the show today and let people know.
I'm so glad you brought that up. That's awesome. Yeah, I've loved listening to the Molly Ringwalds and party. They were just here at Martin's in Livingston, in the town of Livingston, and drew over 700 people in the first concert they ever had out here. So that was super cool. I'm glad you shared that. Steve, when are you heading to Austin?
We'll get up about 5 a.m, get on the road.
Okay.
So.
All right, so he'll be there.
I don't cosplay on the internet. I actually go do it. So,
bam. genespage.com, 247 Sports. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thought he brought up a good point about Aiden Teal. Boy, you can get him going at the top of the lineup. He smoked. I didn't realize that ball was going to carry like it did Tuesday night. That was a tough night to get the ball going, and that's already a tough ballpark to get it out. Dead red center field, it hit the top of the wall. I think the Ole Miss center fielder was like, what? And that thing went, I thought he was going to catch it. It went way over his head. All right, we recovered today, and Ed Werder was fantastic on the Cowboys, and Steve Robertson was great, genespage.com. Thanks for listening to the show. Lunch today brought to you by Burgers, Blues, Barbecue, Dogwood, Flowwood. They have a new green space. Blue plates, smash burgers, banana pudding. B3 Dogwood, Flowwood.